It was first recorded as just another faint point of light drifting through the darkness between stars, a routine entry in the endless catalogue of objects passing through our solar system. Astronomers gave it a name that sounded harmless enough: 3I Atlas. At first glance, nothing about it demanded attention beyond academic curiosity. It had a hyperbolic trajectory, meaning it came from interstellar space and would eventually leave again. We had seen that before with Oumuamua and Borisov. Case closed, or so everyone thought. But the deeper the data went, the more the object refused to behave like anything natural. Unlike previous interstellar visitors that cut through the solar system at odd angles, 3I Atlas followed a path that aligned almost too perfectly with the ecliptic plane, the same flat orbital disk where all the planets circle the Sun. That alone was statistically strange. Interstellar objects don't politely align themselves with planetary geometry. They arrive randomly, chaotically, as debris from distant systems. This one moved like it understood structure. Then came the first anomaly: slight trajectory corrections. Not large enough to suggest propulsion in any classical sense, but consistent enough to suggest control. It would drift, then subtly adjust. Slow, precise, almost cautious movements that looked less like orbital physics and more like navigation. At that point, scientists stopped calling it just another object in private discussions. When the James Webb Space Telescope focused its instruments on 3I Atlas, expectations were modest. It was supposed to show a comet like Comet, a cloud of ice and dust evaporating under solar heat. Instead, Webb saw something that didn't match any known natural composition. The surrounding material wasn't typical comet dust. It contained highly reflective structures, with spectral signatures resembling metallic compounds that shouldn't exist in uncontrolled cosmic formation. Some readings suggested organized lattice-like materials, not random debris, but structured matter with repeating properties. Even more disturbing was the thermal profile. Natural objects heat unevenly. One side warms, the other lags, surfaces crack and release gas irregularly. But 3I Atlas showed something different: thermal balance. It was regulating heat distribution as if internal systems were compensating for solar exposure. That is not a behavior seen in inert celestial bodies. Then Webb's imaging resolved surface structure. Not a surface in the geological sense, but geometry. Straight edges. Repeating angular patterns. Smooth transitions between regions that looked deliberately segmented. Nothing about it resembled fractured rock or ice erosion. It looked assembled. At this stage, the word comet quietly stopped being used in serious internal discussions. And then the object began transmitting. At first, radio observatories detected a weak, irregular pulse. It was dismissed as interference or background noise. But when multiple independent facilities across different continents recorded the same pattern, the anomaly became harder to ignore. The signal wasn't continuous. It changed depending on observation point. Different regions of Earth received slightly different variations, as if the transmission was adaptive. Not broadcasting a single message, but adjusting its output based on who was listening. When researchers ran spectral analysis, they discovered something even more unsettling. The signal contained structured repetition. Not random noise patterns, but organized sequences that resembled mathematical syntax. Fragments of order embedded inside chaos. Some algorithms suggested linguistic structure. Others suggested adaptive encoding. But none could fully decode it. And then came the response effect. When a small observatory transmitted a basic return signal, prime numbers followed by Fibonacci sequences, the object's emission pattern changed within minutes. It didn't repeat. It evolved. It was no longer just emitting data. It was interacting. At that point, several agencies quietly restricted data access. Public updates slowed. Internal reports multiplied. Official statements became vague. Behind closed doors, a new concern emerged. The object might not be passive. It might be observational. Or worse, responsive. As analysis deepened, an unexpected layer appeared in the signal structure. Certain frequency components overlapped with ranges associated with human neurological activity, particularly alpha and theta brainwave states linked to memory, imagination, and dream formation. This raised a disturbing possibility. The signal wasn't only traveling through space. It might also be interacting with perception. Some researchers reported unusual cognitive effects while studying raw datasets, recurring imagery, abstract geometric visions, and a sense of familiarity they could not explain. While these reports were dismissed publicly as psychological fatigue, the pattern of similar descriptions across independent teams made some scientists uneasy. Meanwhile, deeper orbital modeling revealed something stranger still. 3I ATLAS was not behaving like a simple incoming object. Its trajectory showed long-term consistency across archival sky data. When astronomers searched historical records, faint traces of its spectral signature appeared in datasets from years before its official discovery. That suggested a paradox. Either the object had been present undetected far longer than assumed, or its signature was not fixed in time. A more unsettling interpretation began circulating quietly. The object might not be moving through space in a conventional sense. It might be interacting with observational reality itself. Around this time, gravitational data added another contradiction. Subtle periodic fluctuations in nearby space suggested rhythmic mass variation, too structured to be random debris, too consistent for natural tumbling. Every 47 minutes, a measurable shift occurred in gravitational influence. Not enough to destabilize anything, but enough to register across multiple instruments simultaneously. Mass does not pulse naturally. Yet this did. The implications were difficult to ignore: internal motion, energy redistribution, or systems operating inside the object that we could not directly observe. Then came something even more troubling. While Webb continued monitoring, it detected a faint reflection signal not from 3I ATLAS itself, but from a region trailing behind it. The reflection didn't match any known object signature. It appeared as a delayed echo, as though space itself was bending light in a structured way. One interpretation suggested a second structure hidden behind detection thresholds. Another suggested a field effect, something altering how space behaves around the object. Either explanation led to the same conclusion. What we were observing might only be a visible fragment of something larger. Back on Earth, independent labs analyzing signal structure found something unexpected in its deeper layers: recurring mathematical constants embedded within frequency shifts. Ratios aligning with pi, phi, and Euler's number appeared within encoded patterns. These are not cultural artifacts. They are universal mathematical constants. Their presence raised a fundamental question. Was this structure produced by intelligence, or by a system that uses the same mathematical language as physics itself? As the data spread, a strange pattern began emerging globally. Researchers involved in direct analysis reported increasing cognitive strain, fragmented memory recall, and recurring dreams involving geometric forms and spiraling structures. While no causal link could be confirmed, the similarity of reports across continents raised concern. Then communication shifted again. A second object was detected. This one showed no emission, no reflection, no thermal signature. Only gravitational influence revealed its presence. Its trajectory mirrored 3I ATLAS from the opposite side of the solar system, converging in a synchronized approach pattern. One moving inward. One positioned outward. Like two coordinated boundaries closing around a shared region. At this stage, classification systems changed language. The term object began being replaced with system, because whatever was approaching was no longer singular in behavior. And as 3I, ATLAS neared the inner solar system, something even more unexpected occurred: brief disturbances in Earth's magnetosphere and seismic resonance patterns. Not destructive but synchronized. Subtle shifts aligning with the object's signal rhythm. As if planetary systems were being gently tuned. That final realization changed everything. The question was no longer what 3I Atlas is. It was whether its presence is localized at all. Because if its influence extends across space, signal, cognition, and planetary systems simultaneously, then what we are observing may not be an object traveling through the solar system. It may be a structured event unfolding inside it. And the most unsettling part is still ahead. Whatever it is doing, it has not finished arriving.